What's up, Knicks fans? We are back again for another season with our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. And of course, that means we're talking about FANCASH. Now, most sportsbooks, their rewards are just fluff, but FANCASH is the ultimate sports currency. You see, when you bet with FANATICS Sportsbook, you get up to 10% FANCASH back on your wagers, win or lose. And did I mention that they're giving away millions in FANCASH this year? And you can use that FANCASH on anything in the FANATICS universe? Go check it out for yourself and download the app today. FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Knicks Film School Pregame Show. My name is Andrew Claudio, and it is time to preview another Knicks matchup, this time on Friday night, the first Friday night Knicks of the season, and it's against the Boston Celtics, who come to the Garden for the first time since they were eliminated in the playoffs last year at the hands of the New York Knicks in the second round of the Eastern Conference semifinals. As we spoke about this when it happened, a pretty consequential loss to the Celtics, not in like grand scheme of things. They were coming off a title, a lot of big key offseason decisions that ended up being made. But between the upset that was losing to the Knicks and then obviously losing Jason Tatum, maybe for the year, we'll talk about that throughout this conversation. It's a significant loss in the New York-Boston rivalry for sure. And so the Celtics come back in here, a new-look Celtics team, 0-1 after a close loss to the Philadelphia 76ers on opening night at the Boston version of a Garden. And we're joined, as always, when it comes to Knicks Celtics, by a good friend of mine at this point, from Hardwood Houdini and, of course, the How Bout Them Celtics podcast. Jack Simone, welcome back to Knicks Film School, my friend. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm hanging out. I'm glad the Celtics are back. I'm glad the NBA is back. I'm glad basketball's back. It was a nice break in the summer, but I'm very happy to get to watch basketball every night again.
So I've been waiting to talk to you about this for about 2 weeks. Okay, I'm going to go behind the scenes. And yes, we'll talk about Knicks Celtics. We'll talk about this game. We'll talk about this matchup. But you and I both dabbled in some pickup basketball that made it to the internet this summer. I went and participated in Knicks Twitter Day, hit some big free throws at the end of Knicks Film School's only win at Knicks Twitter Day. And then you played in and that obviously like gained some attention. Ben Stiller was there. Jalen Brunson wants to win 10 next year, whatever. You played in the media versus media game, I think was what it's supposed to be. And you got some big rebounds. I saw the clips go around of the big. You got a big rebound, got fouled, went to the line. I believe you went 1 for 2, and then got your own rebound to seal the game, and then hit some free throws. So you did your job, and that is probably, if I imagine, what you thought was going to be the story from you playing pickup this offseason.
Yeah.
Then your psycho head coach decided, let's do a coaches versus media game. And if you could just tell the Knicks Film School listeners what it's like to play a pickup basketball game with your colleagues in the Boston media against Joe Mazzulla and his friends. What was that like, Jack?
Yeah. So we thought we were going there to play normal media versus media. Like we thought we were going to play a media game. And the press conference ends. Joe Mazzulla is asked about like, oh, we're about to play a media game. What do you think? And he looks at us deadpan. He goes, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but you're not playing each other. You're playing the coaches. And he walks away. And we're like, what? Huh? We're like, what, dude? And I think some people couldn't tell if he was serious. I looked at it. I'm like, oh, he's like, this is real. This is like actually going to happen. And so we played that game first, and we lost. I mean, everyone can see the score, 57-4. And it was a 12-minute game. I don't think people know that part. Like, we lost by that much in a 12-minute basketball game. It was we didn't play multiple quarters. Like, it was 12 minutes. And for what it's worth, it got to a point in the game where Joe Mazzulla just started going, only threes, shoot threes, only threes. Only. And so they just they stole the ball from us and they shot threes. And again, like something else I don't think people realize. I think a lot of people just looked at the score and be like, oh, these guys stink. They pressed us the whole game. They did not. There was no oh, let's let them get past half court or play defense. It was do not let them dribble the ball. Like they pressed us. They stole the ball every single time. I think we got the ball past half court 10 times, maybe. It was bad. That said, if you had told 10-year-old Jack, hey Jack, you're going to play in a basketball game with the head coach of the Boston Celtics, he'd be thrilled. I don't think he'd care how much he lost by. And I was happy. I would do it again tomorrow. And also, if you gave me the option, and I assume you can relate, I would hope most people relate. If the options are they try as hard as they can, or they like pity us and go, half speed, I don't want that. Like, I know if you're going to beat me, just do it. Like, just get it over with. Like, try your hardest and we'll deal with it. But I think they were like, they weren't trying as hard as they could have in terms of like the basketball specifically, but in like they were probably like 10% of like their actual basketball talent. It was just they are in infinitely better shape than I probably ever will be in my entire life. And so they were just picking us up at half court. They were, not letting us dribble the ball, and they were just like they were going almost full speed there. I will say though, we warmed up a little before the game, and I'm not really a good 3-point shooter, but I made a couple. And so when I checked in the game, Joe Mazzulla goes, Jack and shoot. And then I proceeded to miss every shot that I got off. But that felt good for like a fleeting moment in time.
Yeah. Your coach is a psychopath. Just flat out a psychopath.
100%. Yes.
And I
didn't smile the whole game, by the way. There was no
smile ever. I literally don't know what a Joe Mazzulla smile.
After the game.
Okay, gotcha. I could like imagine a version of Tibbs doing that, but it's so funny that this is now the complex that both of our coaching staffs have. That the Celtics have a psycho and an authoritarian. It seems like that. Now is a bit more modern, of course, but is a bit disgruntled. It seems like I don't know what he enjoys. Like the whole bit about like I watch The Town every day.
Yeah,
is just like, okay, you're a bit out there, and I've now got Mike Brown, who's just like a jolly good time, and he's running sprints with the team because guys miss free throws, and he's joking with James Edwards about being a Lions fan going to Giants games, and it's like I'm a 49ers fan. I never heard Tibbs talk about football. I know he's a Patriots fan, but still, it's just an interesting dynamic now. I have to ask, like, does the fact that the Celtics are probably because this Tatum thing I want to talk to you about are probably not contenders this year, do you think like the why is what I kept asking? Like, why did you do that to Jack, Joe? Why did you do that to my friends in the Boston media? I think, did he just need to exert some dominance somewhere because he doesn't have a big bad team anymore?
I think he just wanted to I just think he thought it would be fun. I think a part of him going into it.
That's his fun. Hold on. That's his fun.
Yes. Well, okay. I think it was a two-sided coin. Like, I think going into the game, like, if you want me to like genuinely tell you what I think he was like, oh, I'll show these guys, like, let's give him a taste of something. But I think he came out of the game like with like, for what it's worth, he's been a lot like, I think the dynamic between Joe and the media has been infinitely better since the game, because I think for whatever reason, he needed to see that competitive side of us, because he explained it in the media the next day. Like he got to see like firsthand how much we love basketball, how competitive we are, because he's doing that every night. And we come in there and just ask him a bunch of questions after he is exiting what he likes to call the arena. He is a UFC fan, so I guess that makes sense. But like there was a clip of him on the radio the next day of him talking to them, because for like the media versus media day game that we did after that game versus coaches, he did the scoreboard. Like, he was still there. He watched us play. So he was like in there the whole time. He was yelling at us. He was like laughing. He was having a good time. And in that game, on the radio, when he's talking about it, he goes, there was one play where this guy got, shoved to the ground, me. And he goes, and there was another one where like this guy turned the ball over and just screamed the F-bomb, like all over the court. Also me. And so I think he was like, I never got to see that side of them. So I do think the games gave him at least a deeper respect and understanding of like, okay, these guys also love the sport. They also are very competitive. It's just they don't do a job that requires that edge every day. So I think we've had a lot better relationship, like the media and Joe, since those games.
See, when you put it that way, that's very sweet at the end of the day. That you gain more of an understanding when you're literally in the other person's shoes. And you see that they respect the thing that you've dedicated your life to as well. With all that being said, I hesitate to say that may be the peak of Celtic dominance this season with what the state of the team may look like. I'm just going to start here. I'm not like being an asshole Knicks fan when I say this.
Yeah.
But like I watched the Sixers game, and I have some questions about the Celtics defense. I have the structure, I will say, is still there from an offensive standpoint. Like, they're still trying to get up threes. They're obviously not playing with a stretch five. I know Tillman was putting them up, Garza was putting them up, but their best offense was when Keita was in the game. And like the screen assists and getting Jaylen Brown downhill and getting Anthony Simons with a runway and some speed ahead of him. Pritchard, let's just start here. For Knicks fans who didn't watch, Celtics dropped 13 in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe did a thing, just started hitting every shot. Although Edgecombe's really big was the first quarter. And then it's like a 9-point lead with 3.5 minutes left. And then like Grimes hits a three, Oubre hits a three to put the Sixers eventually up one in a furious comeback. And then final seconds of the game, VJ Edgecombe hits a shot to VJ Edgecombe hits free throws to put the Sixers up by 4. Peyton Pritchard hits a 3. And then to put him down 1. Yeah. Then they put Edgecombe back at the line. He misses 2 free throws. Yes. And then ironically, I was like, oh, they're not going to call a timeout. And Brown calls the timeout while Mazzulla is saying, like, just go after the second missed free throw. And in the out of bounds call, Pritchard gets the shot, like actually gets a decent look.
I don't think it was for him, but
so the play broke up, but it ends up being Pritchard that gets the chance for a game winner. It misses, but it goes out of bounds on Philly. They get another shot at it, and then Pritchard again gets to take the game winning shot. It did seem like a team figuring out life without Jason Tatum, because obviously Tatum's like the go-to guy, the focal point in a lot of these important spots. I think that's just what the reality is going to be throughout this season. That's my read on it.
Yeah.
I now ask you, someone that's much closer to it, much more attentive to it, like, what is the read on expectations for this season? And like, what does a disappointing or even like an accomplished Celtics season look like? We'll talk about whether it will include Jason Tatum or not, but let's, for now, pretend it doesn't. What are the realistic expectations for the Celtics this year?
I still think they're going to be better than a lot of people expect them to be. Like, I think they can compete for that like 5-6 seed in the East. Like, I think they're going to be a really competitive basketball team. I think I came away from the first night encouraged, but also like sort of like you said, they're learning the new way they're playing. Like they're not playing everything you've known about Celtics basketball outside of the fact that they're probably just going to take a lot of threes because Mazzulla likes math. The way they play, like the process of how they play on both ends is completely going to change. Like it's going to be completely different. Offensively, I think, again, like you said, like I think it's going to work. I think they'll be fine offensively. I think Derek White's going to have a monster season. I think Simons and Pritchard are going to, carry the 3 ball. Jaylen Brown's going to be Jaylen Brown, and then they're going to have to figure out how the big man position works. I think it's going to be a lot of screens. I think it's going to be a very fast-paced offense. They're going to get the ball at the floor. There was one play in the Philly game where it started like the Celtics run a little bit. Philly made a shot, and the Celtics had the ball past half court by 23 seconds on the shot clock. Like they are getting the ball, even if it's a make, and they're going. Like that's got to be the offense. I think defense is where I don't think they're going to be a bad defense. I actually think they'll be a pretty good defense, but I think it's going to be a huge learning curve because last year and for the past 2 seasons, they played a defense where we're going to live one-on-one. We're not going to help. We're not going to foul. And we're going to trust that we have 5 guys on the floor who are going to play great defense at all times. Jason Tatum plus defender, Derek White plus defender, Drew Holiday, great defender, Porzingis, good defender, Horford, good defender. Like, Jalen, Derek, everyone they put on the floor was a positive defender. And I think the guys on this year's team have the ability to be, but they also are not like great one-on-one defenders. Every time, I'll tell you for the game that's tonight as this is coming out, every time Jalen Brunson gets the ball on a drive, they're going to send 2. Every time Cat touches the ball in the post, they're going to send 2. They are sending help, forcing passes, and running around. They're covering for each other. I did a whole video on how their defense is going to be completely different. They're going to be scrambling a lot more in defense. Joe Mazzulla, I think, is going to go a lot deeper into the bench because he needs the guys to be, have their breath to be able to play that rapid style of defense. And so I think being able to do that for a consistent 48 minutes is going to be where the learning curve is. And I think once you got to the fourth quarter, you had some tired legs, you had some guys a little jumbled up on defense. And that's where it led to, like Joe said after the game, they lost Maxey in a few pick and rolls. They let out some transition buckets. I think that's where they sort of lost the rope a little bit. I think offensively they'll be fine. I think there's going to be a big learning curve on the other end.
I think I left the game as much as it pains me to say this, much more intrigued by the Sixers and what this young backcourt could potentially be. My goodness, what has become of Joel Embiid? Now, he may just be playing himself into shape, but the guy played 20 minutes, didn't take a shot inside the paint. I think maybe he had one shot from the foul line with his foot in the paint.
I feel bad for him almost.
It's this weird thing. I despise the man, but just as a human that understands what it's like to, I guess, can empathize with what it's like to see you at the end of your career with your body failing you. That just the guy is Al Horford with not even that dominant a rim protector or rebounder. The Celtics got what they wanted at the rim last night. So that's a story for a Sixers podcast. I think the fact that like you said, the Celtics like to run. I'm not as afraid of the three ball as I was in the past. Maybe I should be, and maybe they could still get hot. I think the teams could score on them. And I think where I'm going to first in this Knicks new look offense, you mentioned Jalen Brunson on drives, Cat on drives, and sending too. Well, I mean, now Josh Hart's hurt, so he's not going to play in this game most likely, although he was upgraded to questionable. They closed last night with Deuce McBride plus the starters, and they went to a actual 5-out look, and they put up 43s, and they're penetrating and kicking and generating those drive-in dishes that Mike Brown is actually tracking and making it like a mandate. There were several times Brunson drove, and I was like, oh, this is the patented Jalen Brunson herky jerky. He's going to drive, draw contact, and get a layup. And he's like, no, I have to pass it out here. We have to make sure we get a 3 out of this. So it does make for an interesting, styles make fights going into a new look Celtics and a new look Knicks in this matchup. To the Knicks fan that didn't watch the game last night, and it's just curious how different they're deployed, whether it be Pritchard is now starting and Anthony Simons, the $30 million player that hadn't come off the bench. I believe the number on the broadcast last night was since 2021 was the last time he came off the bench. Now he's coming off the bench in Boston, or the center rotation. What should Knicks fans expect with how the Celtics are deployed on Friday night?
Derek White. I think Derek White is going to be an all-star this season. He's going to take a lot more shots than you realize. It felt like last year was oh, Derek White's going to get all those off-ball threes and it's fine. Derek White is going to put the ball on the floor. He's going to get his floaters. He's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to set up the offense. He's going to have the ball in his hand a lot. He took 13 threes in the first game. I think he's going to average 10 plus this season, so he's still going to take those. He's going to run the show a lot. Jalen Brown actually played off the ball a decent amount in the first game, and it worked for him. I think he's going to have a very efficient season, sort of playing that role, setting up the offense when he needs to. But Derek White's going to be really, really good, and I think people might be surprised at how much he is running the show a little bit for Boston's offense. I think the big man rotation is also something to watch. They're not going to have Luka Garza in New York. He's in concussion protocol, but Chris Boucher is running around out there. He's playing more of the 4, but Keita, Tillman is threes aren't really falling, but he's going to take them sometimes. But him and Keita are discrete machines. They're going to set a million. They're going to set a million threes. And then for the Knicks playing the Celtics, they might take 63s because the Celtics are rotating so much, running around so much. They're inevitably going to give some of those up. And so I think a lot of teams are going to have their season highs in 3-point attempts against the Celtics.
I don't know if the Knicks can take 63s, but I see what you're saying. That
they might.
They might.
I'm telling you.
I'm just saying the Knicks might get to 50 and it'll be my gosh, the Knicks took 53s. This. And that I think is the welcome change that I think a lot of Knicks fans are excited about. I'm hearing a lot of optimism from you. And I forget when Scalabrini said it on the broadcast last night that about Jalen Brown, because you're right. He played a lot of off ball and it was he's got a quiet 25 or whatever Scalabrini said. I want to hear before we talk about Jason Tatum, how does it go wrong this year? What does Derek White's going to be an all-star. They're going to compete for a 5 seed. I'm here for the optimism. What if it goes wrong, does that look like for the Celtics this year?
Yeah. I mean, I'll get the obvious out of the way. One injury to this team, and it's
the depth, non-existent. Yeah.
The depth is not really there. If Pritchard, Simons, Jalen, or Derek get hurt and miss extended time, rough. It's going to get really rough. Like they need all those guys on the offense. Like their closing lineups when they needed a shot was those four and Sam Hauser. Like they didn't even put a big on the floor. They were just like, go get a three, go get a shot. I think if they don't pick up the defense quick enough, I think if it blows up in their face a little bit, they take too many risks and they're not, it's like a double entendre. If they're not disciplined in the risks that they take, like if they're just like too chaotic, like they want to, be chaotic, but if they're not doing it in a controlled fashion, I think it's could get away from them. And then I just, obviously it's going to be a lot of threes, a lot of getting inside for layups if they can. But if the big man rotation doesn't hold up, I mean, I feel like those are the two most obvious things. If Neemias Queta fouls out every game, like I think the Celtics could have maybe had a chance to win the game the other night, but Tillman had to play the last 5 minutes in a game. Queta was great because he fouled out, and that's been a problem for him in the past. Xavier Tillman, for as much as I love him just as a person, I think he's awesome. He's super fun to talk to, but like I think he could be a good player. It's just he's got to make the threes, and they haven't really been consistent for him since the playoffs and when they made the finals run. And can Luka Garza actually be a legit center when he's healthy again? Can Chris Boucher hit his threes? Like there's just so many question marks at that center position. Like they're going to have to play a huge role in the offense. Like Luka Garza, I talked to him earlier this year. He was like, they want us to be more involved than ever. Like that's kind of like backwards. You're like, wait, why? And it's because if they're going to do anything well, it is they can screen. And so if they're going to sprint around and set a million screens, let's let them do that. So I think they got to be able to be disciplined on defense, but like really nail down this new style they want to play. And then the big man rotation just really has to hold up.
And then one more thing about the big man rotation. So Queta got the start. And then 3 minutes in, Philly gets an offensive rebound and he gets subbed out the game. And Scalabrine says, for those who haven't been watching the preseason, this is a thing. You give up an offensive rebound, you will get subbed out of the game.
Correct.
And it became the most fascinating. They didn't give up another offensive rebound for 10 minutes. And then Tillman gives up. I think it was either Tillman or Garza gave up one. But it was like they got subbed out right away. That's like a bold principle to establish. You're about to play the New York Knicks. Now, no Mitchell Robinson, no Josh Hart, most likely. So the offensive rebounds might be a little different. But like when you play a good rebounding team, are we just going to see 2-minute stints from your centers? Like are the centers just going to be like in an assembly line? Like, oh, I'm out now. They gave up another rebound. Oh, I'm out now. Like, is that a thing you think is a realistic principle to establish for the season?
I don't think it's going to be as rigid as it was in the preseason. There were times in the preseason where they let up an offensive rebound and he subbed out every person on the floor, like a full 5-man lineup. Like he just pulled them all out, right? He did it to everyone too. Like Jalen got pulled at one point. Like Simons got pulled. Like he didn't care. Joe Mazzulla was pulling whoever didn't get the rebound. And he went off at the podium after, I think it was maybe the Cavs game or maybe the Raptors game. One of the games that they played, he went off and was like, I need 5 guys who can rebound. I don't care. I need 5 guys who can rebound. And then the next question was me, and I got yelled at, and we've since made up. I was asking about something completely different, but I think it's going to happen a little bit. Like maybe it won't be as rigid, especially because they don't have Garza for the next game, so it's not like they have that extra big man. If Neemias Queta gives up 2 offensive rebounds, he's going to get pulled. Like it's just the way I think Joe Mazzulla is establishing this team's identity. Like you have to rebound the ball. Like I said, the defense they have to get used to. You can't play defense without rebounding. You just can't. Like it's a failure of a defensive possession if the team gets an offensive rebound because it doesn't matter anymore because they just get another one. So I do think he's going to continue to be pretty harsh in that regard.
All right, let's talk about it. Jason Tatum. A video came out during the preseason. It was right around when I texted you, "Hey, I'm doing my over/unders for game theory. I'm leading at the Celtics under. Give me the reason for the over." It's a lot of what we talked about. And I do believe that they're also like there's a tax avoidance trade to be made if the season goes a certain direction that they can make. And then Jason Tatum has a video come out that does not look like somebody that just tore their Achilles 4 months ago. And just your reaction to the video, the reaction in Boston, and just tell me, do you think Jason Tatum's going to play for the Celtics this year?
If I had to make a prediction, I would say yes. However, I think there were some reports from like some doctors that talked like this is pretty normal for like this point in the recovery. Like they do some on-court work. He didn't actually like sprint around. It is just jogging up and down a little bit, getting used to it, like jumping. Yes, but it's fine. So I don't think he's like, oh my God, he's going to play in November. Like he's so ahead of schedule. I think by like late February, early March, All-Star break, like we're going to start seeing like, the first Jason Tatum doubtful on the injury report will come at some point, in my opinion. However, it's not going to be from the Celtics. Wick Rossbeck went on the radio the other day. It's like, we are not pressuring him. We expect to play without him the entire season. Like, it is completely on his end. And when he is ready, we're going to consult 5 different doctors and we're going to figure it out from there. My take has always been, I don't care if the Celtics are a 10-win team. If Jason Tatum gets to the point in his recovery where he is completely healthy, doctors are completely confident, he gets the okay from 5, 10, 20 doctors, whatever, and he said the only other step in my recovery is playing basketball on the court, he's going to play. I just think he's going to play if he's ready, but they could be a 50-win team and he could be not ready, and I don't think he'll be back for the playoffs. Like, I think it's going to be completely 100% dependent on how he feels, how his team feels, and how the doctors feel about giving him the okay. So if I had to guess personally, I think you'll probably see Jason Tatum at some point in March, but it's pretty up in the air.
How much? I mean, you just hinted at it. If they're a 10-win team or a 50-win team, it won't determine whether or not he's rushed back or given the freedom to go out and play and potentially ruin a tank. I guess that's really just my only curiosity of it is how it plays out. Like, what are the Celtics in March? Have they officially moved to the Portland pivot? I realize I can't say that anymore. So the Portland pivot, shout out to Sean with a W and Mensa, 2 of our Knicks Film School voices. Remember a couple years ago when Portland was like hovering around like 10 games under 500, 5 games under 500, and they were like a playing team, but not in the West. And then all of a sudden they just decided anybody with a hint of NBA experience is out for the rest of the year. And they lost like 20 of their final 21 games. We call that the Portland pivot in New York. And it's just like, it's the perfect way to say a team has pulled the plug on the season. Philly had an iconic Portland pivot last year. With recent news headlines, I don't know if I can say the Portland pivot anymore, but I'm not going to let that ruin my fun. If the Celtics are considering pulling the plug on their season, I wonder if just like Jason Tatum for the be able to say he came back the following season, and it's more of a for a lack of a better word, just like a sentimental accomplishment of saying, hey, you did it. Like, you came back faster than probably anybody's really come back. You got to go on the court, even if the season's not going to amount to much. And look, you're right that if they're playing competitive games and important games at the end of the season, it's not just can you get on the court and play, it's can you get on the court and perform and contribute to the way Jason Tatum, like, I guess that's the only other question I have, Jack, is if he can come back and play 20 minutes, but he's not Jason Tatum, would they allow that? Does he have to come back and be like the same all NBA MVP candidate for them to be okay with bringing him back?
I truly just think it's going to be completely dependent on him. Like, I think if he goes to the Celtics and is like, hey, I'm back, the next step in my recovery is playing a basketball game, playing it in an NBA game. I got the okay from this many doctors, checked in with your doctors, Brad Stevens here, Joe Mazzuli's here. Like, we're all signed off. I think they're going to just let him play those 20 minutes. Like, I think they're just going to say, okay, let's get you on the court. We're going to fit you in. Even if he's not the Jason Tatum, he is still 6'9", like very one of the smartest basketball players. Like, can make plays, can draw gravity. Like, I think he'll be fine. I think it's just going to be completely dependent on what he needs for his recovery. Is that next step playing the game? If the answer is yes, I think he'll be on the court.
Okay. The Knicks do play the Boston Celtics at Madison Square Garden on Friday night, 7:30 tip on Prime Video. I'm still figuring out where all these channels are. I will say it was very weird Thursday night, the NBA on ESPN. I mean, Thursday night's been the NBA on TNT for the majority of my adult life. I am enjoying the NBC broadcast, though, I will say. That's right. You have probably no context for the NBC. I don't. This is just like a new thing. Like, oh, wow, this is fun.
I still like it, though. It's still
I
fun.
know, of course. Yeah, the Michael Jordan thing. I can't explain to someone who, and I know you know who Michael Jordan is. I know you understand why all of us in our late 30s are like, that's Michael Jordan.
I didn't get to see it.
Right. I'm hanging. Oh, the actual clip, the 3-minute.
I didn't get to see Jordan. No.
When I tell you, like my little brother who's 25, like he actually put into context, like, what's the big deal? Like, it's a guy talking about he went and took a free throw somewhere. And I just like, yes, but it's Michael Jordan that took the like, I can't explain the reverence that people my age have for this guy. And yet it probably is understood to anybody that's an NBA fan why that is that way. Although he is a Knicks villain. So maybe Knicks fans want me to shut up about this. But this rivalry has taken on a new look, a new shape. And like, speaking of my friends at FANATICS Sportsbook, the Knicks are -6.5 favorites. I believe it's the first time they've been favored against the Celtics since the final game, since a game in 2022. They might have been favored on opening night when they played that double overtime game where Fournier went off in 2022. But I guess we have two questions left. And the first one is just me handing the podcast over to you. Do you have any thoughts about the Knicks? Do you have any questions about the Knicks and their offseason and what they've now become? And the caveat, do you think the Celtics have an edge in this game because Tom Thibodeau came to Celtics practice and gave away all the Knicks secrets?
No, I don't think they have any real edge. I think obviously Tom Thibodeau probably told them some stuff that Joe Mazzulla is going to keep up his sleeve. Like, I think that's inevitable. But when we did our predictions,
Thomas, et tu,
Massachusetts guy, New England guy,
stay there, stay out of upstate. You're no longer welcome in Tarrytown, buddy.
I think. When we did our predictions on the How About the Celtics podcast, I think we both had the Knicks as our 1 seed. Like, I just think they're one of the most talented teams in the NBA. I think, Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, like their starting lineup when healthy, especially, is just almost flawless. I think obviously Jalen Brunson has some room to pick on defensively. Same thing with Karl-Anthony Towns, but like, it's just beautifully built. And I think they have as good a chance as any team to win the NBA Finals this year. I think I probably would still go with like a Houston or an OKC or a Denver, and that Western Conference is just stacked. But if you ask me to pick a team from the East, I'd probably say the Knicks. So I think they're going to be really good. I like their lineup. I like the additions they made this summer. I thought it was a little odd that they didn't get another like bigger guy or forward guy. Like, I like Yabusele, but I feel like they could have used that extra depth with like Robinson's injury history. And I mean, I know they started Haporti in their first game, so it's like maybe you add a little bit of something there, but overall, like, I think Yabu's really good. I think Mike Brown's going to do a really good job of sort of maximizing some of the depth pieces that they have. Some of the younger guys, like I know Kolek played some minutes.
Look good.
I think the Knicks are going to be good.
I talked to you at Summer League, like, yeah, I'm here for Tyler Kolek and his underperformance, and that did not look like he did not look like the Tyler Kolek I saw at Summer League. That's for sure.
No, I think they're going to be really good. I think Mike Brown's going to be a good head coach for them. I think they're going to get a lot of depth. And honestly, I think the biggest thing with the depth is not even they're going to have more energy at the end of the games, which I think is important, but playing them more minutes in the regular season is going to give those guys the confidence to be good in the playoffs. Like, you can go to some of the guys you've seen in the regular season, and I think Mike Brown is going to get the most out of that. So I'm excited. I think they'll be good this year.
The key phrase is 2 words for me, and it's data collection. Figure out throughout this 82 game sample what you have. Like, can you trust the Tyler Kolek? Can you trust a Yabusele? And look, I say this knowing who I am and what my weight is, but Yabusele is like the heaviest player on the team. That includes Karl-Anthony Towns, and he does look a bit like a step slow from an NBA athlete standpoint. So with all that self-awareness, that is not someone I expect to be playing in the fast-paced offense. And he didn't play that much in a fast-paced offense game 1 for the Knicks. And look, I joke around about shitting on Tibbs, but he did do a lot of great stuff here. But one of the things that a lot of people wanted him to turn to was, if something's not working, explore, like, find out. And it's like, no, every game matters. And I think last night was a perfect example. No Josh Hart, no Mitchell Robinson under Tom Thibodeau. Okay, that means I have 7 guys that I trust, and they're all going to play a lot tonight. And the Knicks played 11 guys on opening night instead. So yeah, I do think you're right that they're well equipped to data collect and potentially find some things that we might not have found out in years past. Does it feel weird that there's just not as much juice as there used to be for Knicks Celtics? And And like it's I guess this more goes to the bigger question that like it's a year that the Celtics are not expected to contend. So just the overall feeling going into a season where the dates you're circling on the calendar aren't as prominent as they were in the past. Like what's that feeling like, both from a media perspective, but also as a Celtics fan perspective?
Yeah, I think it's very different. Like it's not something Celtics fans have had to deal with for probably since the Isaiah Thomas years. But I also think there is a certain charm to it. Like I look back at those Isaiah Thomas years before I was in the media and everything. Like I think those were some of the most fun years of watching Celtics basketball, because it was, you entered the year with no expectations. It was, don't know how good this team's going to be. Like, are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad? Who knows? And then, oh my God, they're winning games. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Like, look how good this team is out of nowhere. Like it was not like the past 2 years have been, every win is boring because, yeah, of course you should win. You're the best team in the NBA. And every loss was, oh my God, what went wrong? Like, this is a complete disaster. That's not the case anymore. The case is now, what do the Celtics look like on a night-to-night basis, on a quarter-to-quarter basis? Like like they can sub somebody out for missing an offensive rebound and in 2 minutes completely change the way they play offense. Like it is a complete unknown. I call it the thrill of the unknown. And I do think, for as much as it is like, obviously you want to win championships, that is always going to be the goal in Boston. I do think there is an inherent charm to not having expectations and not knowing what is going to happen. And so, at least for me, I am excited to watch that type of team and see what they can be and analyze what they're doing, because it's all going to be new. So I'm personally very excited for that. But it is going to be weird that the Celtics games are not like, oh my God, it's Celtics this team, it's Celtics this team. It's going to be a lot more. It's like, oh, the Knicks are playing the Celtics today. Like that's, they're not really, it's no Jason Tatum. Like that's going to be odd.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the year after KD left the Warriors and Clay was hurt and that team was awful and just
bad.
Suddenly the Warriors coming into town didn't mean anything. Now, I don't think the Celtics will be that bad, but it'll be different. It'll certainly be different. And I speak on behalf of Knicks fans that were very annoyed playing the Celtics over the years, outside of these very weird 6 games in the playoffs last year, that it'll be nice to actually be favored, and hopefully that leads to a W. So last question, and this is what I'm asking all of my guests this year. I know Bill Simmons is probably an important figure in your life. He once talked about the different levels of sports heartbreak, and he refers to that game, that when you say that game to a sports fan, they know what game you're talking about. It's that game where it ended in such devastating fashion, and you just, I can't even rewatch parts of it. I can't go back to it. It's like, oh yeah, that game, that sent me to the darkest moment of my life as a fan of this team. I know you know this, that after the Knicks eliminated the Celtics, they might have had that game for a generation of Knicks fans with the Game 1 loss to the Indiana Pacers. But I now ask you, what comes to mind when I say that game to you? Again,
yeah.
The reporter / Celtics fan, but when I say that game to a Celtics fan, what do you think that means?
Yeah, I think there are a few ones that you could go to. I'll give you like my honorable mentions before I do the one that I'm like, okay, it's probably that one. I think Game 2 versus the Knicks last year was like Game 1 was like, oh my God, how do you blow that? Game 2 was like, not again, not again, not again. And then it happened. I think a couple games in that Warriors series where they were up in the finals and they blew it, and then it ended how it ended. I think 2018 Game 7 up on the Cavs, young Jason Tatum and LeBron. If you ask me, and it's a little bit off because usually we think of the game as like a blown lead or something, it is the Heat series in 23. It is right after Derek White hits the buzzer beater. You know, everything's, you're on a high, everything's going great. Tatum sprains his ankle in the first 5 minutes and the season's over. Like game 7, like not because like, oh, they were in it and then they blew it. It's because you're coming off of, oh my God, we're going to be the first team in NBA history to come back from down 3-0. And then Jason Tatum just sprains his ankle. And it's all like, it's a disaster from there. That was like crushing. That was like, oh my God, did that just happen? That was like my first year at games, like reporting. And I just remember being there, like you could hear a pin drop in the arena. That was that game. That was brutal.
And I remember because the Knicks got eliminated by the Heat a round previous, and like the Bucks got eliminated by the Heat a round previous, and it was like, they're really just going to march their way to the finals this year. And it's why when they won Game 2 against the Nuggets, I was like, all bets are off. The Heat might do this just to beat everybody from the 8th seed. This play-in
Part of me wishes
team,
they did for the story.
but like this play-in team that lost their first play-in game and was tied with 3 minutes left against the Bulls in the 8-9 game. That's one of the ones I thought you would say. How many Celtics fans do you think say Game 4 against the Knicks last year? Like you go down 3-1 and you lose Tatum in it. Yeah. Is that and then honestly the run ends with really after that game. How many Celtics fans do you think go to that game?
I think you'd get a good chunk, if for no other reason than for recency bias. I think. I don't know. It just like after they lost the first 2 games, I thought it was like they just looked dead. Like I just don't like. I know they won Game 3, but like even in that game, like I know everyone's like, oh, if Tatum doesn't get hurt, they're just tied 2-2. Get out of here. They lost that game.
Far down 9 when he got hurt. Yeah,
like come on. But I think you could get a good chunk to say that game as well. I was more thinking like crushing losses in the playoffs. I'm trying to think of more off the top of my head. Like that the 2018 one was one of the first ones where I was like, man, or. But I think I would probably go to that Heat series in 23. That was like, you went from like the highest of highs to the lowest of lows so quickly.
Yeah. Now I remember going into Game 7 thinking after Derek White hits the shot, that's
exactly
that. This feels like oh
my God, they're going to do it.
Yeah. They're actually going to come back and win the series. The older Celtics fan, and see, that's a difficult thing talking about the Celtics is there aren't many that games in the first like 30, 40 years of the franchise.
Just want them, yeah.
The only one I could think of, there's the Game 6 where they got eliminated in the finals against the Lakers in 85, and it's the first time they lost a series in Boston. And then there's 2 years later when they lose Game 4 against the Lakers when Bird misses the shot after I forget who tries to go for the steal, and he misses the shot that would have given them the win in Game 4. But other than that, it's like a team with like the most championships in the sport doesn't have many devastating moments. So your franchise is very blessed, which is why I'm gonna respectfully enjoy tomorrow night, hopefully, or I guess tonight when people are listening to this, which I know is all setting up for a Knicks loss at the hands of the Boston Celtics. Jack, it is always good to talk to you. You actually have to catch a train to get to New York in a few hours. I'm gonna let you get out of here as you make your way to the greatest city in the world. Before you get out of here, please. Well, okay, in my opinion, maybe biased, the greatest city in the world. Before you get out of here, let the fine folks at home know where they can find you and all of your work.
Yeah, all my written work is online at hardwoodhoudini.com. My podcast that I host with Sam Francis, How About Them Celtics. I also do videos that are on all my socials, which is just Jack Simone NBA on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and my own YouTube. So you can go check out those there. I just dropped a film session with Josh Minot. So I'm always putting stuff out there. But thank you for having me on the show. Always fun. Appreciate it.
As always. And take it from this producer speaking now. These videos that Jack does are very good. They're outstanding. I've told you privately, like, dude, this is outstanding work. And you do it all on your phone, right?
So I use PC CapCut most of the time. I have made one on my phone before. Funny story. The only one I've made on my phone was because I wanted to see if I could. I got to New York for a regular season game. I took a 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. bus to New York, and I edited an entire video in a Starbucks in New York City.
Okay.
And that's the only one I made on my phone, and I don't know if I want to do it again.
Yeah, the Starbucks edits are fun. Like Instagram has this app called Edits that I use on some different things for social. Like I'm big on styluses. Like you see this pen I'm using right now with a stylus at the end. You'll just see me like this. Okay, just tabbing away, making cover arts, making thumbnails. I have like a box of 100 of these, and like with Macri now doing this full time, I gave him like 10 of them. So with the life of a content creator for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Jack, have a safe trip to New York, and it's good to see you as always, my friend. And thank you to everybody for tuning in to another edition of the Knicks Film School pregame show. As always, like this video, remember to subscribe to our channel. If you're listening on iTunes, 5 stars and a review. Same thing goes for Spotify. Leave a comment. I'll check that out. Maybe I'll even respond. If you want some bonus content, Patreon, we have extra bonus content coming from Benji and DJ. Obviously, you have Macri's newsletter. And as always, I'll be back on, the Knicks play Sunday. I'll be back on Sunday to talk about the Miami Heat with my good friend Giancarlo Navas, who, while the NBA got a big story, he got maybe the biggest story that he's been waiting for his whole life out of Miami this weekend. So we'll talk to Giancarlo on Sunday, previewing the Knicks matchup against the Heat. Until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Let's go Knicks, and I'll speak with you soon. Peace.
Must be 21 or over? Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.